Life of Pi.
Imagine yourself going to the kitchen and getting a cookie. Now, you seem to believe that you've done nothing wrong, except later, when you're with your parents, they ask you if you took a cookie. In saying that you didn't take a cookie because they didn't specify where from, are you really lying? And this is the question that the reader of Life of Pi is faced with.
But what is Life of Pi? A story about a young boy named Pi who loses his family and in the process faces unprecedented encounters. The story begins in an Indian family in Pondicherry, India. A young boy named Pi is raised by a typical family-oriented and Hindu. The boy is creative and open-minded. He learns Islam and Christianity and adopts new ways of thinking. However, his normal life is changed when they decide to move to Canada, and in the process, die in a sinking ship. After this tragic event, Pi is faced with a 227-day encounter with a tiger, and after, he must explain his encounters to Japanese officials who represent the company of the sinking ship. It is through this story that many must question what truth is and its subjective nature.
The first aspect of Life of Pi that brings the reader to question truth's objective personality is the fact that the Japanese officials questioned Pi's story. Many times they said that bananas can't float. However, Pi proved to them that they can. In fact, scientifically, bananas can't actually float. Therefore, this causes the reader to question whether Pi is correct or whether the officials are correct. Either way, the truth becomes subjective. Another aspect of Life of Pi that causes the reader to question truth is the fact that Pi believes in contradicting religions. He believes in Hinduism, Islam, and Christianity. Yet, all three are contradicting. Islam does not believe in resurrection, and Christianity doesn't believe in men being born sinless. In fact, Hinduism does believe in resurrection. Therefore, how can one believe in all three? Religion is considered an absolute truth, and thus, if you believe in three different absolute truths that contradict each other, how can you believe that truth is objective? Even more, Pi claims to have been on an island that was man-eating. Yet, there is no scientific proof backing Pi's claim. Therefore, either believing science or believing Pi, the reader is faced with a truth that becomes subjective, as all readers do not agree on either Pi or science. Lastly, it is through Martel's writing and the novel Life of Pi itself that question truth's true nature and bring the reader to believe that truth is subjective. In the end of the novel, Martel decides to include a transcript of Pi's and the Japanese officials' conversation rather than writing it in first person. While the rest of the novel was written in first person, this end piece is written as a transcript. Therefore, the reader is left to question the validity of Pi's words versus transcript. Formal writing has long been known to be more persuasive to readers. Thus, in places where governmental structures are more important, this writing of transcript is more important to the reader versus first-person narrative. And thus, Martel's writing itself versus the transcript becomes acknowledged as a subjective view of what Pi's truth is. And in the end, the novel brings us to question whether Pi was more valid or whether the transcript was. In the end, the reader is brought back to the situation of the cookie, where the person taking the cookie must question themselves and think, am I really lying by saying that I didn't take a cookie? Whether their truth is different from what the reader is seeking, and whether Martel meant to make the reader question truth and its true nature.